So, does anyone else think that George Washington could have been 20% cooler if he was Asian? Think about it. The year was 1776. The American colonies had just formally declared their independence from Great Britain in the form of a written document known as the Declaration of Independence. Although the Declaration had flaws, such as not allowing women or colored people to vote and keeping the interests of the rich strong, it was still a strong foundation for building a new nation. The colonists could now build a new society, free from the tyrannical grasp of a British monarch, and create new institutions and habits of thought, ultimately establishing their own republic. They just had a few minor setbacks. Just a few. That means a lot. The American Revolution happened gradually over time. Striking changes affected social customs, political institutions, and ideas about society, government, and gender roles. First, equality was on everyone's mind. Over time, social democracy was stimulated with organizations such as the Society of the Cincinnati, which helped close the gap between aristocratic landlords and ordinary citizens. Equality for women also gained momentum as they helped contribute to the idea of civic virtue, the notion that democracy depended on the unselfish commitment of each citizen to the public good. However, a series of problems following the Revolutionary War caused leaders to realize the need for a stronger federal government. This led to the creation of the Articles of Confederation, which was further revised into the U.S. Constitution, a more stable document. This strengthened government also led to the creation of two parties, Federalists and Anti-Federalists, with the former supporting a strong central government and the latter opposing it. Because that won't create any problems whatsoever. Fast forwarding to the beginning of the 1800s, George Washington was elected first president of the United States. America's new ship of state did not spread its sails to the most favorable of breezes, however. Specific and unanticipated challenges gave rise to what would become enduring planks of American government, such as the Constitution, Bill of Rights, the establishment of a national president with cabinets, and political parties. As this occurred, the U.S. would need both economic stimulation and stability. Enter Alexander Hamilton, whose economic genius not only stimulated a working economy, but also stabilized the American ship of state with various activities of funding at par, assumption, excise taxes, and most notably, the establishment of the Bank of the United States. In addition to internal conflict, America also dealt with a series of foreign affairs with France and Britain, which would establish fundamental aspects of the United States foreign policy. Most notably, that George Washington established the principle that national interest supersedes all else. I guess you could say he really put the us in USA. In 1800, Thomas Jefferson was elected president. This election was significant as it demonstrated a peaceful transfer of power without bloodshed. During this time, Americans continued to experiment with democracy. During Jefferson's 2 terms, many events forced him to reverse many of the political principles he had vigorously championed for. These included acts such as Marbury vs. Madison, the Louisiana Purchase, and the Embargo Act of 1807. James Madison would take over as president in 1809 and, unlike Jefferson, was unable to dominate Congress as he was crippled by factions within his party and his cabinet. But surely this phase of nationalism would fade, right? Or would it? The mid-1800s proved challenging for Americans as both economic distress and issues over slavery raised political stakes to a whole new level. As corrupt bargains allegedly took place, presidential elections continued to operate as each subsequent candidate had his idea of what was best for the nation. There were issues over the spoils system, tariffs, a national bank, dealing with Indians. No, sadly, not this type of Indian. Party systems also became more defined as each had differing views on how to govern the nation and different ways of initiating those changes. Above all, however, was the change that the common man, the average citizen, the everyday Joe, soon became the center of the national political stage as opposed to the rich, white, landowning aristocrat. I guess you could say that idea of thinking just went off the gold standard. Moving into the late 1800s, it was all about the search for land and opportunity in the fresh and fertile United States. With the rise of Andrew Jackson as president, colonists moved west, shaping the western landscape as they went. The population growth was tremendous as it doubled every 25 years, likely due to the large number of immigrants from countries such as Europe, Ireland, and Germany. America would continue progressing socially and politically, with major events such as overcoming the heavy atmosphere of anti-foreignism, embracing creeping manufacturing and industrialization, and bolstering the position of women. As this happened, various advancements in transportation were occurring, with new vehicles such as highways, steamboats, canals, and railroads. Yes, railroads, which would certainly last a long time. Or would they? Yes, yeah, they would. I literally rode a train like 2 summers ago in India. Pretty sweet. So, yeah, they're gonna be around for a bit. A diffuse but deeply felt commitment to improve American character arose within the colonies during the 1800s. Religion was revitalized as several religious factions such as deists and Mormons began to form. Not only did this revival revamp the debate on slavery and human bondage, it also widened the lines between classes and regions, between rich and poor, sophisticated and uneducated. In addition, there was a greater demand for tax-supported public education, which not only boosted the spread and advancement of education for people, but also led to the founding of multiple liberal art colleges and state-supported universities. In addition, this was an age of reform, as many political values and ideas were debated continuously, such as the prohibition of alcohol or the role of women in both house and public life. Art, music, and literature also blossomed during this time, as many creative forms of media gained widespread support and popularity. I guess you could say art was nice. That was terrible. But I do need a joke to end on, so